Hello and welcome to the Flicks Forum podcast, where each episode we usually go back and look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. However, today we have a special bonus episode where we are going to look at Netflix's 2025 action thriller called Havoc. This one is directed by Gareth Evans and stars Tom Hardy, Jessie May Lee, Justin Cornwell, Quinlan Spelvuda, Luis Guzman, Yo-Yo Yan Yan, Timothy Oliphant, and Forrest Whitaker. I'm Jesse, and I am your host. Thank you, as always, for coming along on this ride with me as we navigate our way through the Netflix original film catalogue. As always, if you haven't seen this film yet, it's a fairly new film, Havoc, on Netflix from 2025. Give us a pause and come back a little bit later on because we will spoil this as we go. We kick off the show with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one's about a possible dirty cop who must help a dirty politician to rescue his son. Doesn't give away too much from this film. There's not too much to give away from the film, realistically. But let's have a look at how this one ended up on Netflix. The film, the title, let's look at the title. Havoc, around the world, like the different titles, but in English, obviously, Havoc means lots of stuff going on, and that's what this film is all about. Lots of action, lots of fighting, lots of crime. So around the world, in Portuguese, it's got two translations. It's damage, and it's also chaos and destruction. That all ties in with what I just said. In Chinese, it's called poisonous calamity. I like that one. That's a good one. In French, it's called ravaged. In Hungarian, it's called destruction. Russian, it's called devastation. In Turkish, it's called deep turmoil. And in Vietnamese, it's called devastated. So all words that have to do with a bit of chaos going in and around with this film. The tagline for this film, which also ties in with this, is no law, full stop, only disorder. Two sentences, I guess, in that tagline. But yeah, I mean, that's what this film is all about. The film was announced on February the 19th, 2021, that the Raid's Gareth Evans was attached to direct the film from a screenplay that he wrote under his exclusive deal with Netflix. Evans was also announced as a producer on the film alongside Tom Hardy. Alongside that initial announcement, Hardy was cast in the lead role. Forrest Whitaker was added to the cast the following month, and in June of 2021, Timothy Oliphant, Justin Cornwell, Jessie May Lee, and Yo Yan Yan joined the main cast, with Quinlan Spelvuda, Luis Guzman, Sonny Pang, and Michelle Waterson cast in supporting roles. Principal photography for the film began on July the 8th, 2021 in Cardiff, Wales, where production predominantly took place. This film is one of the biggest films to ever be produced in Wales and left a lasting legacy for filmmakers. On October 22 of 2021, filming officially wrapped. According to the director, Gareth Evans, the film did need a lot of reshoots, which were delayed due to scheduling issues and the SAG-AFTRA strike. The car chase scene at the start of this film was directed by Evans using a virtual reality headset, and we'll probably talk about that scene soon, but the idea that this chase was pretty digitally put together. Talking to Netflix, Evans, the director, says that he has his own idea, and this is a big spoiler if you haven't stopped listening yet. At the end of the film, Walker is our main protagonist, and this is what Evans is talking about Walker's idea at the end, or his choices in what he does, and Evans, the director, said, I know what I think Walker's going to do next, but I like the idea of the audience being able to make up their own mind about what they think Walker's next steps will be, as he's laying there propped up against a train watching all the police cars arrive. He added that the ambiguity is something that was key to him and something that was really interesting about how to end the film. It's down to the audience about what their version of Walker is. Is he redeemable? Is he someone that we can like and stand behind? So obviously, as we said, that film ends with him laid up against this train in a bit of pain, and it sort of begs that question, does he die? According to Evans, no, he's still alive. So obviously, just in case this film does well, he wants the opportunity to direct a sequel, is my assumption for that. This did arrive on Netflix on the 25th of April 2025. As mentioned before, it was filmed in Wales in the UK, and Evans, the director, he's Welsh, so that makes a bit of sense there too. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? On Rotten Tomatoes, sits at 65%. That's on 69 reviews, so it is on the fresh side, just. Audience, a fair bit lower, sits at 39%. That's on more than 500 ratings, so you would say not too good there. IMDb, it's a little bit higher, 5.9 out of 10 on 18,000 ratings. Then we go to Letterboxd, to 2.9 out of 5, so a little bit below that 3 threshold that we probably would say would be a positive rating, but that's on nearly 30,000 ratings and has been logged by nearly 35,000 people. On Metacritic, it's at 58 out of 100 on 22 reviews, and in their traffic light system of green, yellow, or red, that is in the middle. It's in the yellow, the same with audience. It sits at a 5.6 out of 10 on 48 reviews. What are my early thoughts on this film? What am I thinking? Am I enjoying this one? I think the narrative in this film, it doesn't matter. It's not anything you haven't seen before. If you're going to get on board for this film, you're getting on to watch the film for the action and the body count, which isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, so I understand that. So that's where I'm standing when we get into this film. So let's talk about the characters in this film. We've sort of mentioned already Patrick Walker. He is the main protagonist of this film, Tom Hardy. He's a cop who has involved himself with the wrong people and is almost on the outside with his job and his family, including his daughter, who he barely sees. And he's teed up with a new partner, Ellie, and through his communication with her, you can sort of see that he doesn't like sharing his personal life with her, and he seems to take a long time to trust people. And I guess that's his arc, is his ability to trust someone new and see the good work that they can do. Because Ali, his new partner, she's very fresh to the game, sort of a rookie cop. She follows the rule book, wants to do the right thing, but is super intelligent and can think outside the box and deliver when results are needed. Vincent is one of the boys, I guess, if I put boys in inverted commas. He's one of the boys at the police station, and he's someone who appears to have got Walker involved in the dirty antics of corruption and the police force. And I guess he turns out to be the main villain of this film throughout. Lawrence Beaumont, this is Forrest Whitaker's character. He's this corrupt politician who will do anything to make sure he wins leadership, even if this means covering up crimes, protecting his family's image, all those sorts of things, because his son Charlie is estranged and he doesn't talk to him, and it's got something to do with his mother's death. And throughout this film is wanted for the murder of a Chinese mob boss's son, I guess, which he didn't actually do. And that's where Patrick jumps on board to have to try and hunt Charlie down, as well as his girlfriend Mia, who's along for this ride. And I guess it's the innocence ride, prove our innocence or escape. And they do this at times, trying to get a passport to escape as well. She means the world to Charlie. I'm not sure we saw that too much throughout the film, but the one emotional moment where we do, she's obviously, very, very important to Charlie and has been there for him when his father possibly hasn't as well. Last few side characters. Raul is Mia's uncle. He owns this scrapyard, and he shows up for her when she comes to him for help, as well as not just in creating passports, but he can get violent too, and we'll talk about that as well. The last character is Sue. Sue's mother. So Sue was the Chinese mob boss who was killed. She's come over to America to be on this rampage to find the killer who killed her son, and she'll do anything to have that revenge. So that's where she stands. The director, Gareth Evans, has sort of touched on this a little bit. Obviously, the Raid films, there's 2 Raid films, which he's very well known for, as well as probably a more lesser-known film called The Apostle, which is a Netflix original film from way back in 2018. So he hasn't done anything since 2018. So that's 7 years between films. We did cover this film called Apostle on our podcast back towards the start of our podcast journey. I really enjoyed that film, so if you're keen on checking out some of Gareth Evans' other work, highly recommend checking out Apostle on Netflix and having a listen to our episode on it too. Now it's time to talk about some scenes. What are some scenes that stood out? What didn't work? I think the main things, I'm just gonna mention the action sequences, and we'll go through those as we go and whether they were good or not. I think the opening car/truck chase, even though the digital effects impacted it a little bit, it was exciting, especially with a washing machine being thrown out the back of a truck onto a police car. I thought that was good. Walker and Ali as partners, they're in the car together, and the camera sort of just cranes out from this conversation, this awkward conversation between the two, where Walker's pretty much saying, "Not impressed that you're my partner." And it goes to this billboard of Beaumont, the politician, wanting to be mayor. And it sort of has this slogan about, "I built this city, now I'm cleaning it up." It just looks so cool with it was almost like the Gotham City vibes of the city that they were trying to go with. I thought that was a cool transition. Walker arrives to this club where this shootout occurs, and he replays all the shots and violence going off in his head in between him looking at the crime scene. I thought that was cleverly done. We then see the club where Walker, this is a different club, but Walker goes looking for Mia, and Vincent and the crew arrive, and you realize that they're the villains, and then all these gangsters rock up, and it's just this big, cool fight. There's lots of physical hand-to-hand combat. There's these slide tackles. There's people going over balconies. Excellent moves from Mia and her Uncle Rao with some super power moves before he almost explodes everywhere too. I thought that was a cool scene. The conversation, this is probably the one dramatic moment in the film that works. There's this conversation in a car between Beaumont and Sue's mother where she's almost got him, she's holding him captive to go and watch him see his son die. And they have this conversation about their sons being friends and having that commonality of parents trying to escape. I thought that was a nice little moment. And finally, the final shootout at the cabin. Just graphic, violent, well put together, legs, arms, blood, guts, harpoons. I'm not going to say much about that, but that I think it was a harpoon, like a fishing harpoon. Wow, impressive. There's nothing really that I thought was horrible. You go in this film knowing what this film is like, so it's hard to criticize anything because you know the style that this film is going with. The themes, the ideas, they're very on your sleeve, but the idea of corruption, police, politicians, the drug trade, the list goes on. The idea too of revenge and paying off a debt as well. And parenting plays a big part in this too. The regret and protecting children, even though they may be more than an arm's length away. We see this with Walker and his daughter. We see this with Beaumont and his son, and as well as Sue and his mother too. Sue's mother. The idea too of making choices and having to live with those choices and the impact they have on your family and on your career. And this is done in a very in-your-face voiceover at the start of the film from Walker. What did I take away from this film? I think, like I said before, if you don't like blood and guts, then this film's probably not going to be for you. So give it a skip if that's the case. But if you don't mind some good choreographed action scenes, go for it. Some questions, some pondering, some thoughts. I think the opening chase with the truck, Charlie and his crew, they're all wearing these weird, almost digital-looking face masks. I know that this was filmed around the pandemic times and stuff, but what was with the idea of having them as like digital neon almost face masks? Just felt weird. Christmas. Is this a Christmas film? Like we had the Netflix original film around Christmas time called Carry On, which was about an airport and a suitcase and a terrorist attack, and that had some Christmas trees and some Christmas carols, and was set around the holiday season. This does pretty much those same things. There's some Christmas carols. There's some mention of buying gifts. There's some trees around. It's snowing. So in that case, I would say that this is probably just as much a Christmas film as Carry On. Anyway, I'm ready to wrap this one up. I think that we give the films a rating out of 5. For me, there's very little character development or plot that is essential to follow. This is one of those Netflix films probably that Netflix crave because they're always talking or there's those sayings that Netflix tell people to put lines of dialogue that are just in your face. So if you're doing the dishes in the kitchen, you can still follow along with the movie even if you're not fully focused. And I think this is one of those films. You don't have to be fully focused. This is about the action set pieces and violent deaths and how well you deal with these and how interested you are in how they're choreographed are probably going to lead to how much you engage with this film. I engaged, like not narrative-wise, but visually I was engaged. I give this a 3 out of 5. Solid for me. We're on socials. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, and we have X, formerly known as Twitter. The question that I want to, and I've changed this question a few times since I wrote it down, but in relation to Walker, I was going to start off with and go, is he actually a corrupt policeman? But I think there's enough evidence to show that, yes, corruption did get him at a stage, but I wanted to change that. The idea, is he a good person? Does he genuinely want to do the right thing? And you see he wants to escape from Beaumont's, his grip, I guess, almost. And when we do see the flashbacks of him being at that drug bust that goes wrong, where Vincent actually kills the police officer or the police informant or the undercover police agent, I think that he's probably been in the wrong situation a few too many times, but deep down he wants the right thing. So that's my take. Other than that, we have a huge back catalogue of Netflix original films, over 400 episodes, 400 Netflix original films that you can listen to from our catalogue. Give us a listen, give us a like if you can. We do put out regular episodes out on a Monday, so listen out on Monday for our next episode. As always, thanks for joining me, and I will see you Monday.